360. I'm going to guide you through how to set up and create our first project, which will be a cube. So before we begin, what we're going to do is we're going to click on these 9 little squares in the top left corner of your Fusion bar. When we do that, it brings you to a prompt right here, which is your key where we're going to get everything. We're going to create a new project because you're just starting off this year, and we're going to call it engineering underscore, and then whatever your last name is. My last name is Valentino, so I am going to put engineering underscore Valentino. After you do that, you hit the return button, and you have your new project. As you can see, I have multiple projects here already, but we're just going to use the new one. Now what you're going to do is you're going to double click on that name. So my new piece right here happens to be empty, engineering underscore Valentino. In that, we're going to start a new lesson, and since this is lesson 1.2.2, what we're going to do is we're going to call this folder, I'm just going to call it lesson 2.2. All right, and then everything, all 3 figures that we make are going to be saved inside this lesson. I hit return, and I got my lesson here. I'm going to double click on there, and now anything I save will be placed under this project in this lesson. Now here's the key. You're going to want to hide your data panel. So you're going to click on this X up here, and that would expand your view a little bit. Mine's a little crunched because I have the picture of what I'm creating in the top left corner. You're going to have yours maximized, so you may have a couple more things here on the control panel. Now, since we created our thing, we're going to now make a file. So to create our file, we're going to go to the Save button, and under Save, what we're going to put is, we're just going to call this 2.2 space cube. All right, and then you're going to just do space your last name. Now the reason we're putting our last name after everything is just so when I check it and I screenshot it, I can see that it's your problem. All right, now you should notice your location is right here, and we save. All right, after you do that, what you're going to notice is 2.2 cube is going to be right here in the top left part of your piece. Now, one of the key things here is changing the units. So if you go to document settings, which happens to be right here in your browser, and you click on the arrow, that tells you units you're using. Mine's already in inches because I've been using this a while, but yours is probably going to be in millimeters, all right, because that's the standard. We're going to be switching back and forth. So you go to this little button right here and you click on it, change active units, and my active units are right here. I'm going to click on the word inch. Now I'm going to set that as my default because for the next couple exercises we'll be using inches, and then I hit OK. I check, yes, good, I have inches, perfect. If you do not set it into inches, your answer is going to be terrible. Now when we 3D print everything, everything's going to be in millimeters, but for the first couple exercises, we're going to be in inches, all right? Now we're ready to create. One of the most important buttons on Fusion 360 is right here. Under Create, it's called Create Sketch. Now what that happens is when you enter the sketch mode, you're going to create any geometric profile you want, and that's going to be your 2D shape. So we're going to use that 2D shape to figure out what we want to do. So another important figure is right here is your cube. Now if I hit the home button right here, anytime you hear me hit home, that's what I'm referring to. You have a cube in the top right of your paper. Now I can look at the front view of something. I can click on a side edge, so you can click on any edge you want. I can click on any corner I want, all right? And I can look at the whatever figure I make from there. I can hit the rotate button to rotate it around in circles and move it however I need to. So typically you're going to be in your home view, and when I hit sketch, create sketch, I have to pick what view do I want to put it in. Do I want to be looking at it from the top? Do I want to look at it from the front? Or do I want to look at it from the right-hand side? In this case, we're just going to build the box from the bottom up. All right? So that's how that works. Now, before we make the box, what you want to do anytime you make a figure is you want to make new components. Now, what a component is a piece of a sketch. So when you make multiple components, you can hide them, you can change the colors, you can do a bunch of things. A component is easy to make. I go on to where it says cube, and I'm going to take 2 of my fingers and hit my mouse pad, assuming you guys are all using MacBook Airs. In a sense, the right click. So I click there, and I'm going to go to New Component. All right. So once again, I go to the cube button, I hit 2 fingers, I click New Component. I'm just going to name my new component anything you want. I'm going to call mine Cube. All right, why am I calling it Cube? Because it's a cube. It doesn't really matter what you call it, just that when you do get it, you have a name for it. Now, after you do that, what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that these things are called eyes. They are open circles, and when you click on it, that is going to be the piece of the Fusion 360 that you're making your objects in. So I hit my eye, that I make sure I'm in cube. Now from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my sketch that I told you about before, and I want to create my sketch in my top plane. So I go over to my box right here, or my cube, and I make sure the word top has a rectangle around it. When I click on that, I just have to confirm, and I confirm by selecting the planar face. I'm going to hit this button right here. And as soon as I do that, you'll notice your bar up here is going to change. Everything changes. So I am going to be sketching until I hit this green button. Now what exactly do I want to sketch? I want to sketch a rectangle. Since this is a 1x1 cube, I want to make the bottom of this cube. The bottom of this cube happens to be a square. So I go to 2-point rectangle, and when you do this, it's better to pretty much go right in the origin. Now as you see right here, I can zoom in and out by just pinching my fingers to get a better view. I'm going to put my first point of my rectangle on the origin, and then I could slide it up and try to snap it to 1x1, but as you can see, my numbers are a little bit off. So if I just type in the number 1, I hit the tab button and I hit 1 again, it's going to enter, lock my rectangle into an exactly 1x1. You want to be precise, because if you're not precise, things will mess up in the end. So now I look at my rectangle, okay, 1x1. These are just dimensions. I can move these if I want to. I don't have to, but I can make them here. I can even put them on different pieces. It does, like I said, doesn't matter. We have the bottom 2D view. So now I hit Finish Sketch. So now you see a square. Always when you finish making your figure, come back up here and hit the home button. And now I can see a 3D figure. So it's like my square is just laying on the ground. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch my fingers to make it a little bit smaller. And I want to take that 2D figure and make it a 3D figure. The way you're going to do this is with a button that's right here. And this button is called Extrude. What Extrude does is it turns a 2-dimensional figure into a 3-dimensional figure. It gives it that extra dimension. So if I click on Extrude and I click here, I can use this arrow and I can make it move up, or I can go down. Okay, as you notice, when I go up, the inches are in positive. If I move down, the inches are negative. So that's how you can do that. And I can try to drag it up so it's 1 inch exactly, or I can just hit the number 1 and I hit enter. Now, when you extrude, there's some things over here. You can go one side, you can go 2 sides. The distance is right here. I can go at an angle. If I wanted a taper angle, what happens here is I can actually come out. Okay, if I go at a negative taper angle, I could have my figure go in. We don't want a taper angle because we want a straight figure. So we're just going with 0. I can make a new body, I can cut, I can intersect, I can do a bunch of things with this. I just want to keep my new body, and I'm going to hit OK. When I'm finished, I got my 1x1 cube. And then to submit the work for me, you're going to press Command-Shift-4. You get a little box like this. You're going to just create a box around here, screen cap both the cube and my name, and you're complete with your first activity. That will be submitted to Canvas, and now we are going to move on to the second 2 things that we're going to submit, our set of 3 solids and our 3D figure. Thank you for joining me, and hopefully this helped.